Hi, fifth graders. Welcome back to Persuasive Writing. Today is session 5, and we will be finding evidence to support your first reason. But before we get into that, I want to tell you a little story about the time I tried to convince my parents to allow me to get a dog. They were super against it, and I had even come up with so many reasons that I thought were very strong and would convince them to let me get my dog. So my first reason was that dogs boost your mood and they help reduce stress. And when I first told my parents that, even though I could tell I had broken down their wall a little bit, they still weren't 100% positive and they still weren't convinced. So what I did was I did a little bit of research and I found some hard evidence, some facts and data from studies that have been done on how pets relieve stress and boost your mood. And once I presented them with that specific evidence and those specific details, they were much more willing to agree with me and to understand things from my point of view. And that's how I ended up with my dog. So providing that specific evidence is going to really go the extra mile and help convince your reader to see things from your perspective. So today's teaching point is that argument writers give compelling evidence to prove their point. So we are argument writers. We're writing about an argument or we're trying to persuade our audience. So they mean the same thing. Our bump up for today is what makes a quotation powerful. So we're going to be talking about how to use powerful evidence. This is just a graphic of what your paper is going to look like. So today you're going to be researching 3 pieces of evidence to support your first reason. So encompassing your whole paper is your goal. This is your claim. This is what you're trying to convince your audience of. So I am trying to convince my audience that kids should play sports in elementary school. Then you're going to have 3 reasons. Each of these will be its own body paragraph, so you'll have body paragraph 1, 2, and 3. Then within each reason, you need to find 3 pieces of specific evidence, so a fact or an example, to support your reason. Just like I found evidence to support my reason that pets reduce stress and boost your mood. So today we are focusing on these 3 top reasons to support our first reason. So there are some things that you need to think about when researching. The first is to ask yourself, what is this evidence really about? So as you're reading through these articles, you may come across a specific data point or something interesting that you would like to include in your paper. But you need to think about whether or not it is actually supporting the reason that you're focusing on and whether or not it is going to help contribute to convincing your reader to agree with you. Then, once you've started drafting it, you're going to be thinking about where it would fit best. So we're not quite at this point yet, but later on when you're writing your paper, you are going to be thinking about how you want to organize your evidence throughout your paragraph. You also need to decide whether or not you're going to paraphrase. Remember, paraphrase means to put something in your own words. So you will see once we fill in our boxes and bullets, you are going to be filling in your evidence, and you need to decide whether or not you are going to put that information into your own words, which is what you're going to be doing most of the time, or if you're going to be using a direct quote and you are going to be specifically telling us exactly what the article said word for word. So that would be a direct quotation. That is typically good for specific data. So if you're given percentages or numbers, something like that, it's typically good to write or to use a specific quotation so that you don't miss any of that information, okay? Now, here are some questions to help writers analyze evidence and fortify their thinking. So ask yourself, why did I include this evidence? What am I accomplishing by including it? How does this evidence relate back to my claim? So is this supporting my original claim? What makes this particular quote or statistic so important? So you may come across an interesting statistic, but is it really going to contribute much to your paper? That's what you need to decide. Sometimes you might find things that are interesting, but they might not be helping you drive that point home. How is this evidence changing my thinking? So how might this piece of evidence change your reader's thinking as well? Is that likely going to change what they originally thought about this topic? Next, we're going to be talking about what makes a quotation powerful. So when you're picking evidence and quotations or specific pieces of evidence that you're going to paraphrase, try to pick information that is maybe surprising or even shocking to spice things up in your paper. So include interesting facts that maybe you didn't know before and your audience doesn't know. So those types of things really shock the audience, and they allow them to see things from a different perspective, because maybe they start to realize, I guess I didn't know everything about this topic, but now I'm learning lots of interesting new things. Ask yourself, does this prove that my reason is valid and add valuable information to my argument? So does this prove that your reason is valid? Is it directly related to your reason? And is it adding valuable information to your argument? Or is it just adding some extra fluff that we don't really need to know? Make sure that when you're including quotations and paraphrasing evidence, that it is something that is actually adding value to your paper and helping to convince your audience. So look for that wow factor. So let's practice researching evidence. Now I am working on, as you know, kids should play sports. So what I'm going to do is I have my boxes and bullets open right here. So I have my first reason, and this is what I'm going to be working on today, and this is what you will be working on today as well. So my first reason is sports relieve stress and improve mental health. So I'm going to go over to kids search, and I'm going to search, since I'm working with stress, I need to prove that kids are stressed out. So what I'm going to search is stress in kids today. So these are just some search terms that I thought of. Let's see, more kids plagued with chronic stress. Why it's happening. Okay, let's see. February 2018, so I know that that is recent information. Let's see. More kids plagued. All right, let's check this out. I'm just going to skim read. You don't have to read every single word, but let's just skim. Recent studies show that adolescents and young adults are 5 to 8 times more likely to report symptoms of anxiety and depression than kids who lived at the height of Great Depression. That's a really interesting fact. That's a wow factor. It's a specific piece of information that directly relates to my argument, and it's pretty shocking. 5 to 8 times more likely. So I think I'm going to keep that in mind as I'm reading. Last 6 years has been a trauma. What's causing all this stress? All right, don't think I need that. Not all stress is bad. That doesn't really go along with my claim. You become good at coping. That doesn't really relate to my claim. Excessive stress is damaging. This could help me prove my point, both in the short and long term. As it interferes with one's ability to function socially, emotionally, and academically. That really would help drive my point home and show people that stress is not good for kids to have. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to combine this information. So recent studies show that they are more likely to report symptoms. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this piece of information, and I'm going to go to evidence 1, and I'm going to paste it there, but I'm not done quite yet. So what I'm going to do is go back, because I also want this piece of information. So it interferes with, okay, so this helps me prove the point that stress is not good for you. All right, so I'm also going to put this here. But I don't want all of this information because I am going to, let's see, why did it do that? Interesting. Recent studies show that adolescents and young adults are 5 to 8 times more likely. Okay, so excessive stress is damaging. Okay, I don't want that. It interferes, this is what I want. Excessive stress interferes with one's ability to function socially and emotionally. That's a very important piece of information that I'm going to include. I don't know where this line came from. That's interesting. Let's see this. I'll figure that out later. All right, so now I have my evidence. I might paraphrase that when I go back and write, but for right now I'm going to leave it like that. Now, I need to make sure that I'm including what my source is. So where did I find this from? So more kids plagued with chronic stress, why it's happening and how to help. So I'm going to copy and paste the title of this article right where my source is, because I'm thinking and doing this at the same time. So when you start to write your paper, remember you are going to tell us where you got your information from. So remember in your informational writing when you said, according to this source, I need to know where I got my information from so that I can cite my source while I'm writing. So I'm going to write that right there. Now, in this writing to think box, this is where I want you to explain and unpack this quote or this piece of evidence. So just like in your informational writing, when you told us why your information was important, that's what you're going to do here as well. So recent studies show that adolescents, okay, so this proves that childhood stress is increasing. Okay, so this proves that children are getting more and more stressed as time goes on. Okay, so I'm proving that kids are stressed and that they need sports to relieve that stress. So also stress has many bad side effects. Okay, so now I have shown why I included this piece of information in my writing to think. So that's what you're going to do as well. You're going to find your piece of evidence, you're going to tell me where you got it from, and then you're going to write to think. So tell us, oops, I spelled this wrong, this is with an E. So notice I said that it proves that children are getting more and more stressed as time goes on. Also, stress has many bad side effects. This is me unpacking this quote. I'm telling my reader why this information is important and how it relates back to my claim. Okay? So now I'm going to look for another piece of evidence. Let's see. Let me try searching. I want to find out what causes stress in kids. So now I've already shown that kids are stressed, but what causes stress? Let's see. Homework. I think homework is, let's try homework causes stress. All right, let's see if anything comes up. I know that homework might be something that stresses kids out. Let's look. Study finds, how does homework actually affect students? According to 56% of students should consider homework a primary source of stress. That's an interesting fact. Maybe I could use that to explain that sports give students a break from homework and stress. Let's see. According to a study, 56% of students considered homework a primary, okay. Too much homework can result in a lack of sleep, headaches, exhaustion, and weight loss. Ooh, okay, so this is an interesting fact. Very surprising. 56% of students considered homework a primary source of stress. So I'm going to go back to my boxes and bullets. I'm going to paste that in there. Now I have to find my source. So where did I get it from? Let's see. What is the article called? Infographic. How does homework actually affect students? Now I'm telling you where I got that piece of information. And why is this important? Well, it's I can prove that sports give students a break from all of the homework that is stressing them out. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. You can change this once you go to write, but you have to explain why you thought this piece of information was important. So I'm going to use that to make this argument. Now, I need one more piece of evidence. Let's see. I'm going to go back and try another search term. So try different search terms. Now, I've already proved that kids are stressed, but I still have to prove that sports reduce stress. So I'm going to search sports reduce stress and see if I can come up with a fact that proves that sports reduce stress. Let's see. This is a Harvard, July 7, 2020. That's very recent. And it's Harvard, so it's .edu, which means it's a reliable source. So let's see. Skim. How exercise reduces stress. It's good for your heart. Remarkable changes. Let's see. The mental benefits. Exercise reduces levels of the body's stress hormones, such as adrenaline and cortisol. That proves how exercise reduces stress. It also stimulates the production of endorphins, chemicals in the brain that are the body's natural painkillers and mood elevators. That's a very interesting piece of information. That explains exactly how sports relate to reducing stress. So I'm going to paste that in there. Then I'm going to go back and copy my article title. I'm going to get the whole thing, go back, and I'm going to explain how this is important. Sports are directly related to reducing stress in the brain. Okay, so now I've explained what my evidence is, what my sources are, and how that is related to my claim. So that is exactly what you're going to do today. Now, it might take you some time to go through these articles, and that is perfectly fine. So this is your task for today. Let us know if you have any questions.